this meeting. Good evening, and on the behalf of the City of Independence, welcome to the Planning Commission meeting for the evening of August 22nd, 2023. For those who wish to speak tonight, remember to address all comments and questions to the chair and keep your comments brief and to the point. If you agree with the previous comment, simply indicate your agreement and move on. Before we swear in, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so for all those who would like to speak tonight, or even think they might, will you please stand and be sworn in? And raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth before this commission? If so, say I do. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, we're going to begin with the consent agenda, and our attorney has asked to make an announcement quickly, so.
You want to do roll real quick?
Roll
Okay.
first.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Here.
Commissioner Nesbitt,
Here.
Commissioner Preston,
Here.
Commissioner H. Wiley,
Here.
and Chairman McLean.
Here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Jeremy Cover, City Councilor. There was a question last time at the last commission meeting about approving the consent agenda. We've had a couple of questions about it. We've clarified one issue, which is that any one member can remove something from the consent agenda. The question last time was whether or not it takes a unanimous vote to approve the consent agenda. And the answer to that question is no. And so this is something, you learn something new every day. So there's a difference between unanimous consent and a unanimous vote. So the consent agenda requires unanimous consent to vote on those items, meaning everyone has to agree about what's on the consent agenda, okay? Then that's where it gets back to any one member who doesn't like something on the consent agenda can pull that item from the consent agenda. But just because you agree with what's on the consent agenda does not mean that you are necessarily going to vote in favor of the consent agenda. So in other words, the reason it doesn't typically come up is because most of the time, if there's something that someone doesn't like, now, they'll pull it from as we now have sort of figured this out. But that doesn't have to be. So in theory, you could agree with the items that are listed on the consent agenda, but still vote no. And again, as long as the consent agenda had enough, had more yes votes than no votes, it would still pass. The vote on the consent agenda does not have to be unanimous, but there has to be unanimous agreement or consent about the items that are on the consent agenda. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Now we're all on the same page because again, it wasn't something that I'd been asked before. So now we all know. So just wanted to put that out there before you approve the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't want that to happen again.
No. Amen, Chair.
Yes.
Now, we have 5 here tonight. Do we have to have 4 or 5 for the pass now? Since I think that came up a question before about not having.
Yes.
Just 4.
For this, it's as long as we have a quorum, okay, to pass the consent agenda, it's a simple majority of your quorum is all that it takes to pass the consent agenda. That's different than your actual substantive cases. But
I mean on the other cases. What about them?
On other cases, you would have to have for cases you'd have to have 4 yes votes, okay. Even though because
we have 6 right now. Yes.
You only have, but it goes based on how many seats there are. So even though you have 7. A vacancy, okay. That goes off of 7. So does that make sense?
So it's got to have 4 to pass then.
Any item has to have 4 to pass. Does anybody? Okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure we agree on that. Okay.
Counselor?
Yes, sir.
I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
And I cannot cite Robert's Rules of Order, but let's table that one And let's revisit it after you've done your research again.
Happy to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Which part do you disagree on?
No,
I'm confused.
Once a quorum is established, it then becomes, in my humble but probably accurate opinion, a simple majority of that quorum. It does not revert back to what would be the standard number of commissioners or members.
Well, we're happy to clarify and let you all know for sure one way or the other, and I'm happy to talk to you about it whenever, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. First thing on our agenda is the consent agenda.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
And we're ready for a vote.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Nesbitt,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
and Chairman McLean.
Yes. The consent agenda, including case number 23-31002, has passed.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion that we continue case 23-150-22 and case 23-125-08 per city staff.
Is there a second?
I second.
And we're ready for a vote.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Nesbitt,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner H. Wiley,
Yes.
and Chairman McLean.
Yes. Cases to be continued, case 23-150-22 and case number 23-12508 have been continued to the September 12th, 2023 meeting. Thank you. Okay, our public hearing is case number 23-100-22, a rezoning of 625 West 23rd Street South. City, we're ready for a report.
First, I would like to apologize if I butcher any of the Spanish in here, so please bear with me on that. This is case 23-100-22, Pulperia La Tia Tati, a neighborhood grocery store. The applicant is Jimmy Mejia Chironos, and the action is to rezone from O1 office residential to C1 neighborhood commercial. So here's the zoning map. As you can see, to the south is R6, single-family residential, and then to the north across 23rd Street is R12 and C2. The comprehensive plan has the proposed future land use as existing residential established neighborhoods. And here is an aerial photograph of the property. You can see there's a small building there with a asphalt parking lot around the back and that wraps around the sides. And for the background and property history, the property located at 625 West 23rd Street South is currently zoned O1 Office Residential. Located at the corner of 23rd Street and Delaware Street, this location was used as a hair salon or barbershop for many years. Looking back to 1965, when zoning was established for the City of Independence, this property had been zoned R1, single-family residential, similar to the neighboring property south of 23rd Street. By 1980, the property had become zoned CR1, limited commercial and residential. In 2009, the zoning was updated to O1 office residential, and the property has remained O1 since this last change. For the project description, Jimmy Mejia Chironos requests to rezone the property located at 625 West 23rd Street South from O1 office residential to C1 neighborhood commercial. The property has an existing building that was previously a barbershop and hair salon. The applicant seeks to use the existing building on the property to operate a small neighborhood grocery store. While obviously not big enough to operate a traditional grocery store, the applicant intends to sell food and ingredients commonly found in Mexican and other Latin American cuisine. The name of the proposed business, Pulperia La Tia Tati, translates to Aunt Tottie's grocery store in English. So, a physical characteristic of the property. The 9,387 square foot lot contains an approximately 560 square foot single-story building. The portion of the lot that lies in front of the building to the north is entirely grass. A 4,718 square foot asphalt parking lot without any pavement markings is located behind the building and wraps around it on the east side. The parking lot is accessible from an entrance on Delaware Street. The building itself is a light beige color with white trim around the windows and has a blue door. A small awning in front spans the width of the building and covers the entrance and two adjacent windows. Above the awning is a sign which currently displays the name of the previous business to occupy the building. The characteristics of the area. The immediate area surrounding the property is zoned R6 single-family residential and features many single-family homes. Across 23rd Street to the north lies a single-family home next to a vacant lot, both of which are zoned R12, two-family residential. To the northeast, across 23rd Street, are two businesses, a funeral home and an animal hospital. Both properties are zoned C2 general commercial. A commercial corridor begins a block to the west of the property and spans both sides of 23rd Street. For the analysis, regarding the consistency with Independence for All strategic plan, the application is within keeping the goal of growth, increase in economic prosperity. The comprehensive plan guiding land use principles for the current designation. The city comprehensive plan recommends residential uses for this site. It also encourages small-scale retail integrated into neighborhoods. Parking access and on-site circulation. The parking lot on the property is accessible from Delaware Street and provides an adequate amount of parking. However, the parking lot does not have defined parking spaces as required by the UDO. As such, there is not a defined space for accessible parking, nor is there the required accessible parking signage. Striping the parking lot, including at least one accessible space, and erecting the related signage will be required. Zoning. Currently, the property is zoned O1 office residential, which allows for mixed-use development, multi-unit houses, apartments, artist work or sales space, eating and drinking establishments, food and beverage retail sales, medical services, offices, personal improvement services, and various other uses. The proposed C1 neighborhood commercial zoning classification allows for mixed-use development, animal services, artist work or sales space, construction services, eating and drinking establishments, small indoor venues, financial services, food and beverage retail sales, funeral services, short-term rentals, bed and breakfast, medical services, offices, fitness studios, personal improvement services, repair or laundry services, retail sales, artisan manufacturing, and other uses. The vicinity around the lot is not located within a sub-area plan. There are no historical or archaeological issues with the property. This is a long-established residential neighborhood with all utility services existing. There is not a floodplain or stream buffer zone present on the property. No public improvements will be required, and the city does not have any capital improvements planned near the site. So here is a picture looking directly at the building. You can see the previous business sign, as I mentioned. This is the east side of the building. This is the west side of the building. Now facing south, this is looking directly at the property from across 23rd Street. So this is from the property looking west across Delaware Street. If you turn left 90 degrees, this is facing south down Delaware Street. This image is facing east, looking down 23rd Street. This is facing northeast, looking across 23rd Street. And you can see on the left side of the image, the yellow building is the single-family residence. The building in the middle is the funeral service. And then behind those trees on the right is the animal hospital. This is looking the other way down 23rd Street, facing west. And I wanted to include some images of the parking lot. This is facing north, looking at the parking lot. And then this is facing northeast, looking at the rest of the parking lot. And staff recommends approval for this rezoning.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions before we ask the applicant to come forward?
I have a question. Sir, don't you think the comprehensive plan speaks almost succinctly to this particular type application?
I do think so.
Thank you.
Will the applicant come forward? You want to come up and tell us about the project, or? Okay. Right here. And were you sworn in? Did you raise your hand? Okay. Yeah, come on up. We put you on the spot, didn't we?
I'm going to translate.
Okay, so if you, I guess we'll both raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you promise to tell the truth before this commission? If so, say I do.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Thank you. And if you'll state your name and your address.
El nombre y la dirección, 625 West 23. El nombre soy. Diga aquí, Jimmy.
My name is Jimmy Mejia. It's
725.
625 West 23.
Thank you. Yes.
That's the business address.
Yep. What is your home address? We have to have the home address.
Su dirección
Right.
de su casa.
Yes.
Su dirección de la casa.
Es
119.
1117.
It's 1117 Sur.
So,
East 24 Independence.
Thank you. Perfecto. Do we have any questions of the applicant? Do you want to tell us about the business?
¿Qué quiere decir de los negocios? No le voy a explicar los negocios.
¿Cómo?
Lo del negocio. ¿Cómo? The purpose of the opening a small grocery from Latin American groceries and snacks. And that's it. It's just a small, little tiny small business for the Hispanics.
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
No questions. Thank you. It was
you.
easy.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
staff, the parking area looks big enough to, looks like accommodate, I guess all they gotta do is put up signs, what you're saying?
Yes, they would be required to stripe the parking lot, add spaces, and then put up, including a handicap accessible spot, and then the handicap accessible signage that
And
goes with
they
that.
understand that?
If they don't, I will make sure they do.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for this case? Is there anyone here who would like to speak against this case? Hearing none, the public portion of this case is closed. Commissioners, any more questions, or I'd entertain a motion?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
This looks like an easy case here. I mean, when somebody wants to start a business, I know we don't understand language back and forth, but I think it should be good. Something, as this area is probably gonna be needing it, so it looks good to me.
I agree.
I
think
concur fully, Madam Chair.
it's a need.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve case 23-100-22, rezoning 625 West 23rd Street South.
Is there a second?
I second.
And we're ready for a vote.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Nesbitt,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner H. Wiley,
Yes.
and Chairman McLean.
Yes. Case number 23-100-22 has been approved. Congratulations and good luck. Next case, number 23-400-11, short-term rental at 400 West Southside Boulevard. Staff, give a report, please.
So this is case 23-411, the Oasis Hideaway. Applicant Kevin Wint and Chancellor and Wint LLC being the company. As you can see from the vicinity map, this is Southside Avenue, which lies between Nolan, but closer to McCoy, basically between the railroad tracks and McCoy, about a block south of 23rd Street. Here's an aerial photo of that corner lot. So you can see the driveway there and the pull-off areas are adjacent to the intersecting street there. This is a map of the floor plan. See the living room, kitchen, and 3 bedrooms there. And this, of course, is the evacuation plan for that same area. This shows the parking plan, showing basically what we were looking at as an upstairs, and this is kind of a downstairs around the corner. So you have your the basement bedroom, and then you have the breezeway and the leading over to the garage, and the parking spots are shown on the drawing here. They showed additional parking spots up above. Of course, those are gravel up there and would not be available for their purpose, but what's down here close to the house would be sufficient, so they already paved. So here's a map of area short-term rentals. You can see one is way off to the east, north of 23rd Street, east of Noland. The other one closer toward the railroad track down toward Chrysler. They're south of 23rd Street. Background property history: the Oasis Hideaway, located at 400 West Southside Boulevard, was constructed as a single-family home decades ago and continues to be a single-family residence in use and design. The physical characteristics of the property and proposal: the 2,000 residence is sited on a 0.26 acre lot. The house has 4 bedrooms. Only 3 will be used for the short-term rental, 2 upstairs. There's 2 upstairs and 1 in the basement. The master bedroom and 2 other bedrooms set immediately adjacent with a hall access to the common bathroom. The kitchen, dining, and living room areas set across the hall. The basement bedroom, laundry room, and garage are on the basement level. The surrounding single-family neighborhood has small homes on small, narrow lots. Most of the area houses are post-1920 cottages and bungalows, mostly more cottages. Southside Boulevard has sidewalks but lacks curbs. Parking. The property has a single car driveway and garage. 2 cars could be parked completely on the property, one on the paved driveway and one in the garage, and then 2 could be parked on the paved pull-off area in front of, I say in front, but it's on the side of the house, on that street side. The parking spot beyond the shed to the north is gravel and would have to be paved if used. If not used for parking, this gravel shall be removed. Noise management plan. Need to educate the guests about the City of Independence noise ordinance and quiet hours, 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Encourage guests to be respectful of neighbors and keep noise levels down as per the posted STR Good Neighbors guideline. If the guest is too loud, contact them immediately and remind them about the noise ordinance. If they are not responsive or disagree, contact Airbnb to resolve the issue. If the problem persists, notify the police. Here's an analysis of the short-term rental requirements. The applicant will have to address these following topics. Noise monitoring. The applicant will install a WYND noise monitoring system, which will notify the applicant if the decibel level is above 85 dB for more than 5 continuous minutes. This system shall be installed in the central part of the house, such as the living room, the kitchen, or the dining room area. Trash removal. Trash pickup is scheduled for a weekly pickup on Tuesdays via Ted's Trash Service. Property listing. The property will be listed on the Airbnb website. Business operations and security. The Oasis Hideaway will be responsible for most of the business operations, including site security, screening customers, and coordinating bookings. The city's short-term rental checklist. The form was completed by the applicant covering license, future inspections, insurance, on-site information posting, and so forth. Fire safety. A fire evacuation plan has been submitted along with the floor plans of the house. The fire escape plan must be posted per code requirement. City inspection. The property has been inspected by the fire inspector and passed the initial short-term rental fire, life, and safety inspection. There are no other short-term rentals in that immediate area. Therefore, this application follows the density limitations of the city code. So this is looking directly at the property, northward. And then this is looking west toward McCoy. And then back east toward Noland. And then this is the intersecting street directly to the south. And this is looking northwest at the property, so you get a good look at that east side of the building where the basement area is and the breezeway leading to that garage that's on the north side, and the driveway and the pull-off area there. Staff recommends approval of this short-term rental with the following conditions. Number one, the short-term rental shall obtain a business license in accordance with the city code and comply with Article 3, Chapter 5 of the city code. The occupation license number shall be listed on all advertisements and online platforms. Two, the business must comply with all safety and other standards established by Section 14,424 of the city code. The maximum occupancy of the premises shall be limited to 6 adults, 8 total persons. Number 4, the maximum number of bedrooms permitted is 3. 5, the noise monitoring system shall be installed in the central part of the house and activated. The good neighbor guidelines, the evacuation plan, and the other notices must also be properly posted prior to approval of the business license. And number 6, the parking area north of the shed is gravel and shall be paved if used for parking. Otherwise, this gravel area shall be removed. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, commissioners, any questions of staff before we bring the applicant up?
Do we have a valid application here? On the record of the application, it states 4 bedrooms. The regulations permit only 3. So why do we have an application on the face of the record with 4 bedrooms? Do we have a valid application?
I think the condition will, drawings, when stuff goes before you all the time, we often have conditions on things that change a item on the drawing. And
I'll ask the applicant, but I'm concerned that whether or not we have a valid application.
I think this has happened before, where there's been more bedrooms that were in there, and they stipulated how many they could actually use, and we just have to trust that they are compliant.
Counselor, do I have to trust?
No, sir. I'm just for my clarification, where are you seeing, where does it say 4 bedrooms?
On the plans,
On where?
and on the plans.
Okay.
So
'Cause
you're based-
and that's what, I'm looking at the application, it says 3 bedrooms.
But the
Well, I
drawing
mean,
shows 4 bedrooms.
yeah, physically speaking, there's 3 bedrooms upstairs, and there's a 4th bedroom that's
In
in
the
the
basement.
basement. And they would, I think the way we wrote this report and the way I understand it to be, they would keep the bottom bedroom, but they'd have to close off or use one of the upstairs bedrooms for storage or something else, but it couldn't be a bedroom.
It states on the application it's a bedroom. No. Yes, it does.
It says 3.
No, it says 4.
Well, the drawing says 4.
The drawing says 4. The
application
drawing
says
is a representation of the facility. I'm not concerned what is written in the application. In the drawing, it says 4 bedrooms.
But the application says 3.
I
Well,
mean,
the application is falsified then.
we could require that they, provide a updated
I'm only
drawing, I
concerned
guess.
about the validity of the application. Counselor, help me here.
Yeah, your concern is valid. I'm trying to figure out.
Commissioner Nesbitt, where are you?
He's looking for an ally right now.
No, I mean, he's right, it did. I was gonna wait till after the applicant came up, but I'm saying.
No. the
It
applicant
does
doesn't
say
get to speak
3,
until
but the drawings
we have
show
a
4.
valid application.
Well, the applicant says 3, but the drawings say 4, so it's not valid. It is incorrect, so it needs to be corrected before we really could approve it, if that's what we need to do, because it is not correct, yes.
You concur?
I
that
concur. It
My
is-
concerns
Yes.
may have some merit.
Yes.
I'm not really questioning you, Ish, but
When,
I'm waiting for the learned counselor.
Well,
I think we need to, I think our revised code actually, we may be mistaken, may actually allow 4.
I remember looking at this earlier this week that the revised code does allow for 4 bedrooms.
The revised UDO that we just passed, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So why do we have item number 4? The maximum number of bedrooms permitted is 3.
That's what the applicant wanted.
No, this says the maximum number
Your
of bedrooms
recommendations.
permitted is 3. It doesn't say the applicant wants 3 bedrooms.
Well, we turned it into a condition. What they requested, we turned into a condition.
The question before us is, do we have a valid application?
Commissioner, could you allow me to consult with the planning staff while you hear what the applicant has to say?
I don't think we can hear what anything the applicant has to say until we can determine whether or not the application itself is valid. No, Counselor. No.
Would you entertain a 5-minute recess?
I think we ought to take a 5-minute. Madam Chair, I defer.
We would entertain a 5-minute recess.
Then that would be my request.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay, we can take a 5-minute recess. Are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this meeting is back in session at 6:42.
A couple of things. So one, we have confirmed that it's section 14-424-08. So that's 14-424-08 does allow for up to 4 bedrooms on a short-term rental.
Therefore, this item number 4 should be removed. The maximum number of bedrooms permitted is 3. The maximum number of bedrooms permitted,
What planning commission staff is saying is because they only asked for 3, that is what is being granted in this application. So technically, or if you were to approve it. So so this house does have 4 bedrooms, to be clear, and they can speak to that. It has 4 bedrooms. It has 3 up and 1 down. The one up, one of the 3 that's up is small and is used as an office. So that's why they're not seeking to use it as a bedroom in this way. So technically they could, under the code, they could ask for 4, and that would be up to you all to decide. In this case, they only asked for 3, and that's what planning commission staff put down was a representation of what they asked for and what you all be approved. So in theory, then they couldn't decide if you all were to approve this, okay, they couldn't then decide later to use that 4th bedroom, even though technically, without coming back to you all, even though technically 4 bedrooms is allowed under the code. They would only be approved for 3 bedrooms.
therefore, the maximum number of bedrooms permitted is 3, although code would have otherwise permitted 4.
Yes, sir.
I think we need to clarify that because that is confusing to anybody with reasonableness.
Could we?
But they only asked for 3, so why would we not just grant them 3?
Yeah, just-
Because code says 4, and it is ambiguous to a reader when the code says 4 is permitted and we say, no, 3 is permitted. Somehow we need to tie that together.
Understood.
Am I just being a nitpicking ninny?
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand where the confusion is. So I can work with planning staff to get that addressed.
Thank you, sir.
For this case, your original question was, is this a valid application? The answer is yes, it's a valid application.
You said valid, I'm satisfied.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we have any more questions of staff before we ask the applicant to come forward? Okay, will the applicant come forward? And I think we need to swear you in.
Yes, we do. We
Yeah.
thought we were talking about other people.
Oh, no, we're talking about all of you. Okay, will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth before this commission? If so, say I do.
I do. Yes.
Thank you. State your name and addresses, please.
Kevin Went, 12014 East Lexington Street, Sugar Creek, Missouri.
Thank you.
Jacob Chancellor, 19720 East 39th Street.
Thank you. Okay, tell us about the project and your 3 bedrooms.
Okay.
Could be 4.
So this is our second offering. We were back here in April. We've been working very hard. This is a family home of mine. I purchased it back in 2012 after deployment in Iraq, and my family lived there while I was active duty in the Army. 6 years later, I met Jacob when I graduated from K-State, and then he moved in there and the family moved out. And then we have been working very hard to remodel this house to make it a suitable offering for short-term rental, which we just finished earlier this month and then passed our inspections on the 9th. It features a very pretty mural in the back. It has a hot tub. It has a little vineyard that I've been growing for 10 years, which is pretty cool because it's lighted up. And we've put a lot of love into it. The patio lights are very pretty. We planted shrubs across the street at the neighbor's house to beautify the neighborhood. So you'll actually see like 4 sets of shrubs on both sides of the street, and they're lit up with solar-powered lights. So it's very pretty when you're riding or driving down the road. You'll see these blue pine Christmas trees, kind of. So it's like a notable spot. We've worked hard to make it a beautiful home, and it really has turned out well. It's got a mid-century modern look to it. The furniture's very tasteful. Everything's quite clean. And we're certainly looking forward to do business again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions?
Madam Chair, comment. I remember your excellent presentation when you appeared previously before this commission and the well-done property. So the halo effect is generally applicable, but we'll judge this property on its own merit, but
Of course.
you're remembered fondly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I yield back, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So what are we gonna do about the gravel? Are you guys gonna pave it, or are you gonna take it out?
We're going to pave it
You're gonna pave it, so it gives you another parking spot on, is that on the,
on
I'm
the
guessing
far
the-
side.
yeah, right side, I'm thinking, when you're looking at the shed? Is that what I'm thinking?
Yes, the north side, so
Okay.
it's adjacent to the street.
Okay. My other question is gonna be due to the bedroom in the basement. I'm guessing it's all legal form for escapes and all that?
There's multiple egresses.
Okay, that's one. But there's no bathroom downstairs? Is that
There's a
correct?
bathroom
There's a
downstairs as
bathroom?
well.
Okay, okay. That's it, thanks.
Thank you. Looks like a great project.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question. And you have installed a noise monitoring system.
Yes.
Can I ask how that's working in your other property?
We have not had any parties, so I couldn't tell you. We are very aggressive in our language to prevent those parties, and it works because we get cancellations quite often as soon as we start grilling into them. We really use a lot of verbiage about city ordinances and don't want to involve the police, but we've had issues in the past. So I couldn't speak on behalf of the party system, the noise system.
But I will say there have been 0 incidents. There have been 0 notifications to let us know that.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. You can be seated.
Thank you.
And the fly, I guess you're going to take them with you.
Yeah,
It is an aggressive fly. I apologize. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for this case? Is there anyone here who would like to speak against this case? Hearing none, any more questions of the applicant before I close? Okay. This case is closed. And commissioners, any more discussion, or I'd entertain a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
in the matter of case 23-400-11, short-term rental at 400 West Southside Boulevard, I move for approval of this application for short-term rental,
Is there a second?
with the stipulations as cited by, as discussed, and would be so modified per the guidance of council.
Second.
We're ready for a vote.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Nesbitt,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner H. Wiley,
Yes.
and Chairman McLean.
Yes. Case number 23-400-11, short-term rental for 400 West Southside Boulevard has been approved. Thank you and congratulations. Let us know if you want to use that 4th bedroom. Not really.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm,
I've got one announcement before you
okay.
adjourn, if I could.
You guys are done.
Billy wants to talk.
Oh, stick around for a second.
Yeah.
I just want to go ahead and clarify this because I was able to figure it out. So the language in relation to the votes required, that was a question, which is a reasonable question. The language I had in my head when I answered it refers to the Board of Adjustment, which is obviously not you all, But the Board of Adjustment says a concurring vote of at least 4 members of the Board of Adjustment is required to approve any variance request, which is obviously what they do. However, that language does not apply to the Planning Commission, which is says a majority of all the planning commissioners present and voting will constitute a recommendation of the Planning Commission. So to clarify and based on and confirm what Commissioner Preston said, that for you all that magic number of 4 doesn't mean anything. That was the Board of Adjustment, and I apologize for that confusion. So for you all, a recommendation is simply a majority of your quorum. So as long as you all have a quorum, then a majority of that constitutes a recommendation. It does not require a specific number of votes, which again is different from the Board of Adjustment. So my apologies for the confusion, and I appreciate Commissioner Preston pressing that issue to make sure we got it right.
Counselor, I like competent counselors. I like you.
Okay, good deal. I appreciate that. That's all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, staff, anything else for the greater good that we need to know?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
In our packet tonight, I'm a little leery. The first one that we did 122, didn't seem like we had all the information that he was talking about up there. I don't know if my packet was missing some. I only had like 2 pages, so that's why I'm kind of curious. I didn't know what happened.
Oh, the
I mean,
Tybrook Estates?
The one he was talking about, like I say, I know you were looking at the same time, usually we can follow along with you what you're reading, but we couldn't follow it tonight, and I don't know if something was missing in the packets or something happened.
Mine was loose. I was
Mine
having the
was
same
loose
problem,
too,
but-
yeah.
Which, you're talking about the last case?
No,
No.
case before that.
The rezoning.
Yeah, the rezoning.
Yeah,
There's some missing material in some of the packets, that's all.
yeah.
I just want to make sure that I get,
I was having the same problem.
They wanted to
Mine was
limit
too.
your participation, Commissioner Nesbitt,
okay, well.
so they
not-
took your papers from you.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just checking.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, Josh, what are you thinking,
Yeah.
John?
So what I did was use a previous presentation and a previous report and amended those. And so it's possible that those weren't exactly the same. I will make sure in the future that they are identical.
And
Okay.
can you staple them?
I will talk to Emily about that.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Because I'm really bad about getting things out of order, and I think that's what happened. I was scooching papers also.
Well, I was doing the same thing. I was trying to follow that. I couldn't follow that. Where's he at?
Okay, so the next meeting is September 12th, 2023, and we are adjourned at 6:55. Thank you all.